Did we lose him?
Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm back.
Yes.
I can start, but no one can see me. So
We'll be your face here. Go ahead.
all right, wait for the coordinator to start it.
Yep.
Oh, there it is. You know, it's only that 1 second. Anyway, welcome, Power Addicts. Welcome to the April 2021 Power Addicts Meetup. It's been a while, and so I'm just happy to see everyone here. This month we have a crazy show. Um, we are we're going to talk some GCC stuff. We're going to talk um, about some community changes. So yeah, yeah, Chris, I am the voice today. There is no face. I need a haircut anyway. But yeah, so we have the Queen of Slay here to Heather Newman to talk about she's the Queen of Slay to talk about community, and then we also have Jeremy Wood here to talk about GCCPP. I think I just made that up.
Baby, you know me.
You know me, right? So we have that today. But I guess to kind of get started, what we usually do is give shout outs to our new MVPs. We know this month was on the MVP side was pretty crazy because we had a MVP summit. And so I'm not for sure if we captured all our MVPs, but if we did not, we don't want to miss anyone. So anyone that was made MVP this month, welcome to the bag, or the business applications group. And then also we have April here today to kind of give some updates as well. So Vivek or Geetha, unless you guys have anything to add to kick this show off, or April, let's if you don't, we'll hand over to April and she can go ahead and start to give some of her updates.
So, sorry, April. Shall I play that video first and then we can go with yours? Is that?
Yep, go on.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, we reached out to Charles Lamana, and he has a message for all the power addicts here. So I'm gonna see if that plays well. Let's hope it does. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio once I started.
Hey, Power Addicts. How does time fly? It's been over 2 years since Power Addicts has been formed. It's amazing how far we've come. I remember when we first had some t-shirts made on the Microsoft side to celebrate and talked about it in some of our all hands. It's just amazing to track how over time the community has been so welcoming to bring so many people into the fold and show them the potential and capabilities of using low code to reimagine their careers and start to transform their companies and ultimately start to change industries and how people think about development in this decade. So it's just amazing to see how we've been on this journey together. We couldn't have done it on the Microsoft side without such an excited and I'd say insightful and unique community that we have. I want to thank a bunch of the folks that I've met with, just a few of the names. There are many more. Anton Robbins, Samit Saini, Keith Watlin, April Dunham, Vivek Bavishi, Will Dorrington, and a whole bunch more we've worked with over the years to really build out such a great community. So I just want to congratulate everybody for building something that has lasted and grown so well. And also, again, just reiterate how thankful and grateful we are on the Microsoft side. Sometimes I don't think we deserve to have such great fans and such great community out there, but we really could not have done it without you. I look forward to celebrating the 4th and 5th and 10th year anniversary of Power Addicts in the future, when there's a whole lot more and a whole lot more excitement out there. So again, just thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great start to 2021 and look forward to many more of these anniversaries and celebrations in the future. Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
That was a message from Charles. I know this was supposed to play the start of 2021, but finally we got the chance to play it. But yeah, it's been 2 years of Power Addicts, and as Charles said, hopefully many more years to come. So April, from here, take it away. You're on mute.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's the new slogan for 2021. You're on mute.
Well, did we lose her?
I
I think her
joined
yeah, her video kind of froze up and then we lost her.
We'll just give her a few minutes, and if she doesn't make it back, we'll transition over to Heather.
Let's see.
Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me? Please tell me you can.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, my
We
computer
hear you.
today. It's like not wanting to work for me, so apologies for that. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was our mission here. We're trying to find a power addict in every country. So kind of a big undertaking that we have here. But as part of that, I was hoping to share with everyone here on the call. I don't know if my message went through before my Teams crashed there. But if you go to aka.ms/power-addict-signup, there's a form there and you can fill out some information about yourself. Just really need to know your name and maybe if you want to share, obviously the country that you're a part of and all that, then we can register you as a Power Addict representative or Power Platform expert for your country. And we want to get as many as we can and hopefully, find Power Addicts and all across, even Iceland, wherever we can. So we can get that. And then, so when we have events, say maybe we want to have a boot camp or anything like that, we can kind of know who to reach out to in that country for Power Platform help if someone's struggling or needs a Power Addict. So if you are interested, please go to that link and sign up and register yourself as a Power Addict so that we can track that and know the experts to reach out to in the different areas and regions. And that's all I had.
Wow. So we have power addicts is like all over the place. Like I know we did this one little snapshot of the hashtag, and it was almost on like every continent except for Antarctica. So
Yeah, we gotta find some Antarctica Power Addicts there.
we'll find somebody.
Gotta do it.
Right. So yeah, so the AKA is inside of the chat here, and so as we have the show today, if you feel like, go ahead and click the link and go ahead and sign up. Definitely signing myself up today. But yeah, so if we have any questions or anything like that, April, can we catch you on Twitter with that, or do we just use, or is AKA sufficient?
Yeah, if you have any questions at all, just send me a message on Twitter @AprilDawn. I'm happy to answer, clarify anything that you have there. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm taking a click after we finish the show though. So, all right, cool. And Florida does not have sovereignty yet, Chuck. So with that being said, thank you, April, for giving us that information. And we would definitely use that, and I will be posting that on my page so that people can sign up. All right. So with that, we're going to transition over to the Queen of Slay, Heather Newman, who has some exciting information to share with us about community. So, Heather, if you are ready,
yes,
I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay. So, have you explained the Queen of Slay? Why he calls it? So, I was on the RuPaul show, literally on the television show with RuPaul, and I was picked as Slay of the Day. There's a clip out there somewhere that shows me spinning around in a red dress. That is why that is the deal. So anyway, just so to clarify,
I'm sorry.
That moniker. No, it totally. I just was like, I thought, there's always a story with these things, right? And that is the story. So
Yeah.
anyways, so thank you so much, Anton, and everybody. Thanks for having us. So it's not just me here on the call, but I brought some slides and then figured we'd have some time for a chit chat. How long do we have for this section, just so that I can make sure we know what we're doing.
So we have about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Then I'll rock through this. So cool. And so just for those of you who I haven't met, I am new on the Power Platform team as of 10 months. And if you have a LinkedIn app, and if you like, this is a tip and trick for all of you who go out in the world and speak. That is my LinkedIn code. If you have a LinkedIn app there and you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can hold that code up to the presentation and we can, boom, be LinkedIn friends. So I recommend folks do that. It's an awesome way to connect with your audience. So something food for thought. That's my Twitter. That's our, I'm on Instagram there, MS PowerPlat, you know and love on Twitter as well. And I have a blog up on Medium. So I'm not new to Microsoft, been around this lovely place for about 20 years. Started off in 2001 in SharePoint when it was a code word called Tahoe, and basically just said yes to many, many things, starting out with writing the first 125 case studies ever on SharePoint, creating the partner community, the SharePoint conference, all of that. So I've been sort of almost accidentally building community for a really long time. And then at some point I got very intentional about it and have been a community member as an Office Apps and Services MVP, been a partner with a software business. I've had a marketing consultancy. I've had many, many hats. I think I've done just about everything, even picked up the garbage. But my longest stint at Microsoft was event logistics. And so events are definitely my wheelhouse. And then I ran marketing globally for AvePoint for a couple of years as well. So happy to be in this role, learning a ton. It has been a fire hose that I have been wrestling with the rest of the team and very excited. And then recently we had some team changes that I wanted to talk to you about. And I brought some team members with me today who you probably already know, and maybe some you don't. You can see Ashley up there. Ashley, say hi to everybody. Yeah. Feel free to come off mute.
Yep, I was working on it. It was very slow, but hello everyone.
Yeah. Ashley, where are you right now and what are you doing on our team?
I'm in Seattle, but no, I just recently joined the team, probably, oh gosh, like four months ago, if that. So it's been a quick process, but I am one of the community admins. So I'm kind of working the back end, helping make sure everyone is getting what they need. Things are getting created and processes are getting created as we build out this wonderful community.
Yeah, working on user groups. So definitely project coordination, user groups. So yeah, and Kelly Kay and Chuck, do you want to do some camera action and do some jazz hands with everybody? I think people know who you both are, but might as well. Chuck, do you want to do some jazz hands? Tell everybody what you're doing. And where
Hey guys, I'm down here in Key West. I'm actually right now working on a document with April. So April, I've got all of that stuff working and I'm just updating the screenshots. So I'm so looking forward to that delivery next week. And we've got a big surprise for you on the call when we actually release this. So we're actually working on some new training documents. But that's what I'm doing. And I'm actually down in Florida for 10 more days. And then I'm on the road trip back to Seattle, driving the whole way, 63 hours. So wow. Kelly, over to you.
Yeah, and Chuck, what's the community that you run?
Power Platform.
Power
I'm actually on the Power Apps team, but I love all the Power Platform products. I feel comfortable with all of them, and you'll actually see me demoing across most of them. When I met Anton, I was on the Power BI team. I did a foray in Power Virtual Agents, and today I'm wearing purple. I'm not wearing purple. I should be wearing a purple for Power Apps.
Absolutely. Right on. Thanks, Chuck. Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Power BI Community Engagement Lead, work at Microsoft. Really great to meet you. And looking forward to all of our interactions and collaborations.
Awesome. So I brought these three with us. Is there anybody else on the team from the call? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, okay. So we had some changes recently where we kind of all came together. Now Chuck and Kelly report to me, and I know that a lot of us know that John Levesque left the team and went on to go do beautiful things at another company, and we are going to be filling that role. And so all of the community program managers, which these folks are, and then Ashley is a community manager, a little distinction, all report on to me. And we have a charter of engagement, growth, and empowerment, and all of the goods and evangelism as well. So we're working all of those programs as far as Microsoft goes. And then we also have a platform team that really works on all of the like actual platform of the community sites, you know, where we have everything built. So you can see we've got a bunch of community program managers, 2 open heads, and then support staff. I have a couple of open heads there too, but these are all the folks that are working on our team and working on community for Microsoft for Power Platform and Dynamics 365. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I just wanted to make sure and share this so you know who we are and who you can knock on the door of if you need something. Yeah, cool. I'm going to go back a slide. And this is our platform team. So names you probably know as well. Some maybe, maybe not, but Pervin, Sandy, and Fawad, and they all report up to Ananth. And so they're working on platform for Dynamics and Power Platform. They're working, and Pervin is working on all of like the insiders and our ideas and all of that sort of thing. The handling of MVPs is now transferred over to me and our team. So we'll be taking that on very shortly. And then the leadership team for community, we all report up to Siva on our side, and we're working with Gordon McDonald on marketing. Ananth and I both report to Siva, and then Paul Cooper, we actually also have a design team for community as well that we work with a ton. So that's kind of the team that we're working with. We have an engineering, a marketing, and a design arm. So that's the trifecta of all of us together. I just think that's good for folks to know who's doing what. So that's our team. And then user groups. So we launched a public preview yesterday. So I totally put a lot of makeup on so you can see the, you know, the bags under my eyes. But it's been 10 months. Yeah, like, can we get some claps up on this? Because we're very excited about it. And we really hope that you are excited about it too. We've been putting, yes, thank you, everybody, a lot of time on this. And the reason that we did this is we were hearing some things from all of you. And a couple of things to note. Product usage is growing faster than the community, which is both a good and bad problem to have. That means we need to get more people into our community and using it and knowing it and a part of it. But the products growing is a really good thing. Customers, everybody wants more connection with Microsoft. And then the current user group experience was, I should say was, I got to cross that out and say was confusing, hopefully. And that user groups really value independence and really want support to grow. So this was over a year ago, conversations were happening at an in-person event about user groups being on the Dynamics communities and also on Meetup, and then on somewhere on Eventbrite, somewhere on LinkedIn, somewhere on Facebook, all of that kind of stuff. And we decided to work on that experience and then investing also in field advocates at Microsoft. So people in the field, so someone over here in Playa Vista actually being engaged with the LA folks, right? So across the world, trying to make those connections a little bit better, providing a free platform and something where we're supporting independent UGs. So supported by Microsoft, community-led and owned. Some of the benefits we have: deeper connection with Microsoft, hopefully a more personalized experience, and then succeeding in doing more at work. As you can see, that's a very marketing-y slide, isn't it, folks? Yes. What's going on this week? We launched public preview yesterday. We have 136 user groups in as of right now. Ashley was probably going to be like, we have more than that, but those were the numbers when I pulled them. We're providing resources to new group leaders, and we're doing a lot of social blasts and emails and all that good stuff to talk about this. So what's the deal with DCI? Everybody wants to know that. DCI will eventually stop supporting the user groups that were there on their sites. And so that will be a place where you probably don't want your user group. Are people on Meetup? Absolutely. Are people on all these other places? Sure. Why should I come beyond this? Well, it's going to be Microsoft supported and run, and we're also going to have a lot of programs that come along with our platform as well. So we will not only be showing a place just like this, the beautiful landing page of Power Apps user groups, but we will also be connecting over the next few months and giving all of the leaders Microsoft Teams with E5 licenses to come in and actually host your user group in a Teams that you will have for your group as well. So it's not only a place to advertise and host and put your events, but it's also a place to have a center of gravity as well. So it's a twofold, it's a two thing, a portal and also Microsoft Teams. And it's also built on the community that you already know and love and are in all the time. If you'd like to see what's going on, we can easily go over there. I actually probably have it open and can end my slideshow and take you in to over here. So we have a brand new landing page at powerusers.microsoft.com, which you can go check out and put that there in the chat. We are now showing this on our marketing pages for Power Platform, but you can see we have Power Platform user groups, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents, Power Automate. We don't have very many in Power Automate and Virtual Agents yet, so this is a little bit of a test because we're in public preview. Will people create them? We're not sure yet if somebody's going to have a Power Virtual Agents user group. Same thing for Dynamics as well. So when you go in to any of these, you can go and check out the different user groups that are in there. So as you can see, Power Automate, we want to get some more in there probably so that we can see if we're going to have any come in there or not. We have Power BI user groups. Those are already starting to list. As well as you can see, Portland, Seattle, Dallas, Fort Worth, Edmonton, tons of folks have started adding their groups in already, and then also starting to add their events in as well. So gosh, Power BI is going to town. So that's very exciting. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to check this out yet, if you're in any one of the communities and want to go check it out, you just go over to user groups and it'll click you into these landing pages and you can check them out, see what's going on. If you want to request a group, you can easily do that in the Your Groups area. Request a group right here, which takes you to a lovely customer voice forms. You can go check that out over there and request a group to be listed on the site. Same thing with Dynamics, same kind of situation. Yeah? Yeah? Cool. Let me go back to the slides real quick, and then I'm going to get finishing up so that we have enough time for everybody to talk, because I like doing that. And let's see here. I think I had one or two more slides. Yeah, so on here, I'm going to put all of this stuff in the chat here while Jeremy and everybody else is talking. So I'll put, if you want a leader, click in there and add a user group if you want to go check things out. The other thing that's coming up, mark your calendars for, if you haven't registered, MBAS is coming on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. As you can see, I've got my Stormtrooper ready to go for that. Yeah. So for Power Platform and Dynamics community, they're up on the site right now. But if you haven't registered, it's a free event. There's going to be a lot of community activity there and a lot of great announcements. And then saving the date for June 10th coming up will be our next Power Platform Community Conference. The call for content for that is going to come out fairly soon, and we'll be working with folks. And that, again, will be community focused with community speakers and a couple of bookends of some Microsoft folks for our keynotes. Other than that, that's what's up. If you have any questions about the user groups, you can ask me, Ashley, Chuck, or Kelly. Any questions?
Wow, May the 4th. That's gonna be here tomorrow. So,
boom. Yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of stuff that's happening right now on all of this. So, but yeah, May the 4th is coming. So, wow. And if you haven't, yeah, and I literally have a notepad full of links. I'm gonna go in just a minute. So, okay. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Those were some nice slides. Like that was the first time for me to see everybody in one place, and we've always kind of known a person here, a person there. So that was pretty hot. So definitely I'll be making some phone calls pretty soon. I'll figure out some email addresses.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna do a post on the community site too. And one of the things I wanted to point out, and then I'll totally be quiet and hand it over. Is one of the things. Which website says May 5th? Like, is it the? Let me go in here. I wanted to ask you all something really quickly. So news and announcements, this place here on the site. Does everybody realize that that's like a place where we talk to you? Like that's really from us out to you. That's the only, like everything else is where you all are chit-chatting with each other and going into different areas. But this news and announcement section is where we're posting information so that you can be up to date on kind of what's going on. Like I actually posted 138 views, not bad. But come join the new community kind of thing. Was everybody aware of that, or was that just sort of meh?
Wasn't nowhere. I knew it was there. I was going to kind of see like big announcements, but I didn't know that was just that was you guys
spot. Yeah. Okay. Well,
it's like the secret menu.
Yeah, it is a secret menu. That's that Easter egg. So anyway, cool. Cool. Hey, Christine, throw me in where it says May 5th, where you're talking about, so that I can see that. But anyway, I will stop presenting and hand it over. But thank you all for that. Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you. I mean, like there was a lot in there. So we got a chance to meet, or at least see our community leaders. Actually get a chance to hear some voices for the first time, which was pretty was hot. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Man, this new community thing is gonna be big, because for me right now, the whole E5 thing is humongous. That's one of the bigger things that I'm taking from it. And we need to find you guys some bot squad community leaders for virtual agents. So
yeah, for sure, that would be great.
Put some things out there and see what we can find for you.
Absolutely. So. And I definitely want to have one of us being on these with you all, like maybe taking turns, or if we can come or whatever, it's just so that we're hearing, listening, and able to weigh in. And I know April represents from Microsoft just as well, but I definitely want us to tag team Whoopi There It Is with y'all, so that we can work together and help each other. So, yep.
So technically we can create a PowerAddicts user group on the Power Platform user groups?
Sure. I would.
Yeah.
Sign us up. How do we go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put the link in here right now. So, yeah, absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it is a user group, y'all. And so then you'd have a place where you could put all the stuff, and then eventually, the teams and everything. Why not? Take advantage, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on. And who on the call has got a user group already? I think a lot of you, there's some of you already. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So, okay. Cool. All right. I'm going to be quiet. Thank you so much for having us on the call, and appreciate all of you and everything you do all the time, because I see it, and I see you on Twitter, and I see you every place else, and it's really great. So anytime also anybody wants to chat with me and have a one-on-one, just please let me know. I'm always happy to do that. So love to hear from you. And Jeremy and I just swapped pods too, which was really fun. So thanks for that too. So you see those soon. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, cool. And that was a perfect segue because Jeremy was just like, I call him like you just heard the PPGCC, because here I'm in the DC area, and it was always an idea, but no one decided to take the reins of creating a UG that spoke to the government contractors or the government cloud, and it's a huge thing here. And so, for the first time, we've never done this before, but we've the PowerAddicts and Jeremy's podcast. We've kind of combined forces today to talk about the Power Platform and how it's used in GCC and some of the trials and tribulations that we go through. So, Jeremy, if you are ready, we can go ahead and give the show to you.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you for inviting me. I'm Jeremy Wood. I'm a federal employee. So I work for Millennium Challenge Corporation, a small federal agency, which many of you or most of you have never heard of, which is fine. And I brought with me today Amy Cisse, because Amy works with me and has been a speaker for me at my user group. And so I wanted to make sure I brought two voices with me today. Amy, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Cisse. So as Jeremy mentioned, we work together. I am the CEO and founder of Cisse IT Solutions. So we have a contract with the government agency, Millennium Challenge Corporation. So of course, we see nice shiny objects in the commercial space, and then we try to leverage them in the government, right? And so we're going to talk about those challenges that might come up of things that you see in the commercial tenants that you can't do in GCC.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost going to be a downer conversation, because for those of us in government, and if you've had an opportunity to contract or do work for the government, you'll have heard that, oh, I want to do X, but it's not in government yet. So the government community clouds, and there's three of them. There's GCC, which is Government Community Cloud, the base one. Then they have Government Community Cloud High, or GCC High, and then they have a tenant that's just for DoD. So And when they deploy stuff to commercial, it takes a while for it to get to the government clouds because of the different compliancy requirements they have to go through before those features can show up for us. So I'm just going to try to illustrate that for you. You're all very knowledgeable in this space, so you'll feel the cringe when you see what doesn't work. And so here's an example. Here's Power Automate. We don't have the AI builder. Approvals work, but they're not actionable, right? All they are is a link back to the approval workflow center in Power Automate. They're not something you can do manage right out of your email. There's no submitting templates. There's lots of connectors as long as they were popular. If they're not popular, they're not cleared into GCC, and that means we can't use them at all. And that's that's not counting the premium connectors, but even within the premium connector space, they're still driven by the level of usage in the commercial space, which will then decide if they want to go through the compliancy effort. There's no support to do any interaction with Power BI because in the government community cloud, Power BI is in its own special tenant, Gov tenant, just for Power BI. In fact, for government agencies, if you have Office 365 or Microsoft 365, you can't even take advantage of the free automatically included Power BI because it's not compliant for government purposes. And so for those of us who do use Power BI, we have to purchase the Pro, which is great. We get all the extra features, but it then puts it in a enclave that isn't even accessible by Power Automate. And then our admin center has nothing in it. You can go into the admin center for Power Platform, and it's very limited in nature. There's no functionality there really except to call for help. When you look at Power Apps, which I know is another tool that's extremely popular, you can't embed Power BI stuff into Power Apps. We don't have some of those native integrations into Microsoft Teams. There's no way to take my Power App and expose it into Teams easily. There are ways to do so. There is a way to manage apps in Teams if I wanted to do it with the administrator, but there's no way for users to really quickly get usability for their applications. Same issues with Power Automate when it comes to connectors and the AI builder. No geospatial features. If you use those sorts of things in your Power Apps, we would love to, but we can't. And then I really wanted to call out, because this is a recent thing that's come out, is the whole really cool get the Dataverse for free if you build your app in Microsoft Teams, except if you're in the government space. So, and that was a real bummer because my particular agency, and that goes to these challenges I want to illustrate here. We don't buy we don't have Dynamics. Many government agencies have been around for a long time, and they were already penetrated by other competitors to Dynamics. And so to do a swap to that is a very, very large effort and costly effort. And so my particular agency does not have Dynamics. We might have some of the other competitors, but we don't have Dynamics. Or there were other no-code or low-code solutions that have just kind of filtered in over the years. And I don't know if you have heard about government efficiency, but it takes us a long time to get rid of something and move on to a more modern approach. So that also drives into costs, right? If many government agencies don't buy G5 of Microsoft 365, which didn't really give you anything different in this space for licensing, but that also means we don't pay the extra money to get the Power Apps or Power Automate licenses. We get what comes with Microsoft 365, and Amy will be able to share a little bit about her experience on that. So and then of course, if we want to do some sort of purchase in this respect, as a government entity, we're required whenever we do procurements to make competitive procurements. So I can't automatically say I'm going to buy Dynamics. I have to say I'm going to buy customer management ERP solution. I have to put it out for competitive bid and hope a Microsoft reseller bids on it and hope that they beat everybody else's price. So it's a very big challenge for us in the government space to leverage these tools and get them in place. And so anyway, so I just want to kind of give you the background on the challenges we have in GCC, but then that doesn't mean we can't do stuff. And so this is where I asked Amy to come, because she is building solutions for my organization. I do Power Apps and Power Automate myself, but she does real solutions. I do play solutions. So Amy, share some of your experience.
Sure. So we definitely are always making sure that we have standardizations for how all of the forms need to be modernized when they're moving from, especially like InfoPath to Power Platform. So we are storing data inside of SharePoint lists. We created this concept called access control lists. So that's how we are, like, if people have different roles. So if there's like supervisors versus admins versus regular users, yes, InfoPath. We store them in a SharePoint list, and we'll kind of assign them different roles in the SharePoint list, and then have Power Apps kind of showing and hiding certain things in the apps, so that they're not seeing everything that they're supposed to, that they should not see in the app. I think, Jeremy, you like that a lot too, because people change often. So we wanted to make sure that people can go to the list, and like the app, like regular business users can go to the list and then just make their updates to, email addresses or people, if those people change and they're not going to there's no need to have the developers go back to the Power App to make changes.
I mean, to be fair, we would prefer that to be SQL, right? But SQL is a premium connector, which means I need to get my agency to buy off on buying Power Apps licenses, and the applications that Amy's talking about are utilized by everybody in my agency. So it's not like I can say, oh, let me go buy some increased level licenses just for the few people who need to do that business process. No, these are agency-wide processes, and so it becomes very expensive.
Yeah, and I got really excited when I saw that ServiceNow was available to have that chatbot feature inside of Teams. I was like, oh, this is great. But it's a premium connector. So of course, yeah, if you see something premium, just avoid having that conversation of them having to purchase, right? And one of the things that we did as far as from a licensing cost perspective, Jeremy and we had conversations about making sure that when people leave the organization, that they don't have the Power App or the Power Automate associated with that particular developer. So then there's the conversation around, well, what does that look like for the developers? What does it look for the citizen developers from a licensing perspective? So we call it a service account, but it's not really a service account. It's just a regular user account that's created in the in 365. But we just created a process so that the service account is tied to the Power App or the Power Automate. And remember, Jeremy, we had some interesting discoveries. So make sure that if you are going to use that generic account, that it's not included in these scripts for if the account is not logged into, those accounts gets disabled. Come up with a process for password management, so that passwords don't just randomly change and people don't know that they've changed, right? And they can't access the apps. What else was there, Jeremy, around that conversation? Do you remember?
That's actually a big one to point out, right? I imagine many of you have run into, even in whatever space you're working in, that Power Apps is not a classic software development, right? It's intended to be run by the users. But the challenge happens is when the users build really important business processes for the agency, an HR process or a financial process, and then they leave and they haven't properly set up things so that it'll continue to work, or maybe the Power Automate connectors that were driven on their SharePoint list data are all in their name, right? And so they will all stop working for this important process, and then we'll get a service desk request, and then we all have to figure out, well, what happened. And so we're trying to get ahead of that curve and educate people, come to us, and we'll redo the connectors to use this centralized account that we know won't stop working. Well, except for when it did stop working because it got disabled. But when you get past all your security requirements and you make sure everybody's on board with how it needs to work, then that saves us a lot of trouble on the back end. But I would also say that the team has been doing a great job at building out some examples, right? Some example tools for our citizen developers. We want to be able to say, our agency deals with foreign in the foreign aid space, and so we have a list of countries that we work with, and they've built out a pre-built list, a data list that has all that data with the drop-down list that's already tied to it, right? So they built out some tools for citizen developers to use authoritative data sources. Since we can't do that in the Dataverse and we can't do that with some sort of a SQL connector, we've got to do that in SharePoint lists. And so the team has kind of done a lot of work around how do we create those authoritative sources so that we don't have this kind of sprawl.
Yeah, I think that template was a really good idea to kind of get them started so that we have common consistency around controls, and they're not seeing features and they're trying to figure out how to build it on their own. And especially if you have like those cascading drop downs, and if it's especially around consistent, org structures, whether it's departments, divisions, or programs or working groups, I think that consistency is definitely helpful as well.
Uday, I see your comment about the not able to get a GCC tenant. My understanding is Microsoft's making some specific changes to allow contractors. I think they've loosened the rules around who can get a GCC tenant. That's a recent change. So that you would be able to, if your organization wanted to get a test tenant in a GCC space, that's actually possible now.
Yeah, they used to wait until you had to have like a signed contract first.
Right.
And then you were able to get the.
But there's a process for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. I'll contact you to see how that, what document I need to forward to the customer. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's not uncommon even for government. So, for my agency, we're running development in production. We don't have a second tenant. Now, Amy doesn't know this yet, but we just procured one and we haven't given it out to the developer to solve this problem. But for a long time, right? Because we have a lot of our developers are doing full stack development as well. And so there's Visual Studio licenses we give, and then they get that whole test tenant in their Visual Studio license, except for the fact that that's a test tenant in commercial. And so many features that might work there when you transfer your app over then could stop working, whether it's for Power Automate or Power Apps. And so we are now finally getting a little bit smarter, and we've procured a test tenant. We just got to figure out how to give out the user licenses. But
nice. That's good to know. I'm excited.
Any questions about the wonders of GCC, or any questions if you're working in that space that you haven't been able to answer?
I put it in the chat, but I guess you missed it. Is there anywhere that they list the differences between commercial and GCC? Because I was in the GCC space for a long time, and you had to go to each group. You had to go to omnichannel to find out what the difference was between omnichannel. You had to go to PVA to see if there's any PVA stuff. You had to go to everybody differently, and I still to this day haven't found a place to find, hey, here's what's not available and here's what's available.
So the short answer is you still have to do that.
Exactly.
So there is, you go to the docs.microsoft page for Power Automate and look specifically for government, and there is a page that lists here are our current limitations, what you don't get for government, and they have that for each of the apps. I looked at it for my slides to make sure it was accurate. Also, I would say though, Microsoft Community Manager Sarah Gilbert is doing a fantastic job. She's the government public sector person for community. And so she's been doing, if you go to the tech community, there's a whole section for public sector under special topics. It's kind of hidden away. So you go special topics, public sector, and then the public sector blog. And she has somebody who's now posting a blog once a month with the new things that have come out for government that people may have had a long time, but now it's in the government space. And it even gets explicit if it's GCC, GCC High, or DoD. So that's a great resource. And many of us are starting to try to publish blogs, blog posts within that public sector blog as we, produce content. I have as Anton said, I manage a public sector specific user group, a Microsoft 365 user group, where Power Platform is a lot of what we talk about, but we also talk about Teams. We also talk about, Azure Logic Apps. It's whatever, because the government space is slightly different in terms of what our limitations are. And so we'll bring in speakers to talk about how did you what's the limitation? How did you overcome it? Or what is currently working and we should capitalize on right now and really, dive into that capability. So I'll post a link in the chat for that user group.
Thank you.
I just hear a lot. I hear a lot of workaround. Basically, I hear a lot of workaround. Like you mentioned earlier about PBI, and so with that, does that lead you guys to write a lot of custom code just to get some of those wins that PBI brings to the table?
What's an example of something in PBI so I can?
So for instance, there you are. So for instance, like just casual charts and like charts and pie charts and some of the things that we just kind of we take it for granted, I think, on just as being just regular users, but you guys don't even get that as a.
I mean, it is possible to point Power BI at a list for a data source. It's just that we can't embed it in the app itself, so we lose that user experience by linking out to it. So it's not that we can't use Power BI. In fact, we use a lot of Power BI. Power BI has become our de facto agency standard for data visualization. So we produce a lot of material in Power BI. It's just, that whole concept of once you're in the app, you don't want to leave the app if you don't have to. We can't do that because we can't embed Power BI charts, on a screen so that people don't have to leave the Power app.
Okay.
Yeah, so it completely changes your mind. You got to rethink user experience, or even rethink how do I do that fundamental functionality of making sure the user only sees what they submitted, and then only their supervisor and their supervisor. You like you posted in the chat. You're right. We're creating our own, recreating our own Azure AD directory for an app. But the good news is we're pulling that data from AD, right? We're pulling that data from AD and then putting it into the list as they create the record.
Well, that's good. It's not like you completely like reinventing the wheel to get things done. You just have to be creative. What is the user experience in Teams? I mean, like in Teams and building apps and and Dataverse, is that like a whole nother something that you guys don't even touch, or is it possible to build robust apps inside of Teams?
No.
I was waiting for that.
We don't have Dataverse. We don't have Dataverse in Teams in the government sector.
Oh.
So no.
I mean, when you think about it, some organizations government organizations were forced into Teams 6 months ago, right? 8 months ago. So MCC is pretty good, but there are other agencies they're slowly, much slower, I would say.
Yeah, we're fortunate our total user population is less than 700. So with our staff and all of our contract staff, we don't exceed 700. So that makes it easier to roll things out. Teams was a fairly easy rollout. We only rolled out Windows 10 right before COVID. So, we are a typical government agency and taking forever sometimes to finally pull the trigger on something. We tested Windows 10 for a year. Heck, I was testing Teams for a year before we rolled it out. So there's a lot of due diligence in trying to make sure our security settings are right, that we understand how to push it and how to update it. But I would say within Teams, it's not that we don't have some capabilities, right? We could go now and pin, say, a SharePoint PnP app on the app bar if we want to. That functionality just rolled out within the last couple months to government, but we haven't got to the point yet where we can really do Teams, Power Apps within Teams. I mean, you can pin a tab in a channel. I've not actually looked to see what that user experience is like. We tend to what's our actual We tend to embed them in SharePoint pages, don't we, Amy?
Yeah, that's SharePoint is the primary source. Yeah, so it's always embedded in SharePoint.
Plus, the government has a cycle for their budget, right? So if it's not already in the budget, you got to wait till the next year to get it in the budget. So they never move anything quickly. It takes like 6 to 8 months to get a budget signed off on.
That's right. Especially if you didn't plan it 3 years out like you're supposed to.
How old is Power Apps? About 3 years
Yeah,
old?
right. You're right.
Jeremy, did you ever get? I'm sorry. Was someone going to say something?
I was going to ask, how about the pricing? Is it the same as commercial, or is it different, less, higher?
So I would say that's the one area we probably do better at. We do get some, in our opinion, discounted rates, because what happens is the General Service Administration, GSA, will go negotiate their rates for the entire government. And so there will be a set government rate, because that populace is so large, right? Every federal agency you can possibly think of, they do a pretty good, decent job at negotiating those rates for us.
Jeremy, did you ever get adaptive cards working?
No.
Okay.
I need to play with it some more. I know using the adaptive card maker, according to Rima Reyes, if you know her, she's the government lead for the team's engineering team for us. And so theoretically, adaptive cards work. Power Automate, they don't. So Power Automate can't natively push an adaptive card to Teams. But theoretically, if you create the card in the card builder and then just paste the JSON, it's supposed to work. I haven't tried it yet. It's a lot of work to do it that way.
So Jeremy, this is Uday. I am actually right on it, like basically working on a lot of this GCC and painful. So I know how you guys are kind of getting there, working on strictly on that. I've been working on all commercial all along, and just like a month ago, boom, 3, 4, 5 clients on GCC. So it's been the experience has been very, very painful, but also like publishing an app. I was like, yeah, you can. I go there and instruction completely different. Doesn't work. You don't see these buttons. The instruction is off, right, per GCC. I'm glad you mentioned about adaptive card. That's the next one on my list. I was supposed to do today, so I was going to do it tomorrow. So you're saying with an adaptive card, post to Microsoft Teams, wait for an action, doesn't work. That action doesn't work. But if you build an JSON and push the JSON, like you construct then that works?
Yeah, theoretically, that's what I've been told. So if you if you use the Power Automate connector function that's supposed to push an adaptive card for you, it doesn't work. Power Automate throws an error. It's not able to communicate with the API correctly. But according to the team, if you create the JSON yourself and just push that as part of the Power Automate flow, that it's supposed to work. Honestly, I haven't tested it yet.
Okay, I will test that either today or tomorrow.
I will be interested in your results.
Absolutely. I'll see what that workaround is. So Rima has a blog or something, so I'll check that out. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the adaptive card, of course, the adaptive card maker's been out there for a while.
Yeah.
And the public sector blog has put out blog posts whenever those features started working for GCC.
Okay, sounds good. And last question, I guess. Some of these GCC customers that you are working with, is the teams in GCC and then the Azure Active Directory is in commercial, or how do you have that configuration? Do you know?
So it's not that Azure Active Directory is in commercial. It's that GCC is the lowest level of the government cloud, and it's not fully isolated from commercial. So components of it are running in commercial because commercial itself has been certified at a high enough level. The parts that don't run in the commercial space are all the parts around data storage, because one of the government requirements is that the data has to be stored not only in the United States,
right,
but in its own isolation, even amongst the government agencies. And so it's a much stricter data storage requirement than you would if you could replicate your cloud across the world and not care, because then you got the resiliency, but the government doesn't care about that as much as it cares about who could possibly see the data. And so most of the functionality, I mean, there's things they have to roll into your tenant, right, so that the functionality exists from a code perspective. but there it is tightly integrated with commercial.
Okay. And do you see that oftentimes this, if it's GCC, not the GCC high, but if you see the GCC customer, their Azure is in commercial tenant. Do you see that combination often? Or we got like 3 customers.
Azure is actually running in commercial. People don't realize it, but it is.
So it's basically a standard. Okay, I thought it was just a unique scenario with just unique, but okay. Good to know.
It could
Thank
be,
you.
but I don't think so, because all the government cloud tenants are set up the same way.
Okay.
So does that mean you're also restricted with the type of connectors that you have access to, because it has to be available in the commercial?
Right. So there's
landscape,
code
right?
component. Yeah, the code components have to be pushed into our tenants, and so we only have. So we have. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of connectors, but they only move over the ones that were popular in commercial. So if it was for an obscure requirement, that's great for a subset of people, and it would be great for us. We're never going to see it. Now, that's not to say they do have a methodology where we could request it, and enough government agencies ask for it, then I think they'll make the effort to put it into cloud. But no.
Do they also go by? Sorry, go ahead.
I think there's something else, right, where some of the apps that you see in the app launcher are still in commercial, but they're right, like the booking app.
The booking app we're not allowing our staff to use because it is fully running in commercial and is not actually certified for government use, even though it shows up on it could show up to my users. Right. Same thing goes for Yammer. Yammer is disabled because Yammer, although I've heard rumblings they're going to push it into government cloud. It is not running in the government cloud. It's running fully in commercial. That's not been certified for government. And so there are some apps we have to just say no to. But Shifts, on the other hand, is fully in government, so we could use Shifts. So it's a case-by-case basis.
And if you do create...
I'm sure you don't work for an organization that's very restrictive for your users. I'm sure you don't. But we have that same problem. And so, like, Amy's team did me a solid, really. I wanted to make Power Apps available to everybody in my agency, and everybody was like, no. We don't want people building apps. And then we went and built our exit form for leaving in Power Apps, which means we had to turn the license on for everybody. I thought that was fantastic. But many government agencies don't want to turn that on unless they could actually control on a per user basis, or not on a control. I think I've seen this in user voice requests, although user voice is gone now, where people are like, I want to be able to deploy an app to people so they can use it, but not give them the right to make apps. And I realize Microsoft doesn't want to do that, right? That's the whole point, is to let everybody make apps.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And if you do create custom connectors, do you have to do something special compared to how the rest of the world works with custom connectors?
Well, custom connectors require...
Trying to see what are those 101s that you need to know if you're going to be working with custom connectors for a GCC.
So my understanding is we can create custom connectors and deploy them. My particular agency doesn't want to pay for the premium license, so we can't do custom connectors.
Okay. But that's good to know. There's so many nuances to working with GCC, and I'm thankful to both you and Amy for sharing these invaluable insights.
And if you ever want direct access, good luck, because they don't guarantee that it doesn't go over the public web, and most government agencies don't like to hear that. So you have to get a private line, and there's a lot of, if you ever do that, it's quite, spent a year trying to figure that out with Microsoft in 1 year.
So what is that? Can you clarify? Is it for like if we ask for GCC trial tenant, or?
No, this is more if you want a VPN, right? It's pretty much the direct access straight to the cloud, so they're not going outside to the public world.
Yeah. So they all are giving me, I have like a couple of WVD, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Each like Power Apps, Power Automate, the licenses are locked in. Everything is locked in. You have to request for everything. Oh, one question that I have is, let's say I have a connector, and that connector, let's say OneDrive. Okay, OneDrive has, let's say on the commercial side, 20 actions. The feature parity on the action, are they same or are they different? Some of the actions are not available in, even the connectors is available, but the actions are not available. Is that, have you seen those?
I have not seen a difference in the actions. Have you, Amy? I think if we get it, we get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen a difference either.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just posted in the chat. I guess it already said April 19th, next Monday. I have Sean Bugler. I think many of you might know him, who's going to come to my user group and talk about the good, the bad, and ugly, the stuff we're talking about right now. But people have asked him to bring examples, so we'll see if he brings any demo examples of the ugly. That would be interesting.
Sean has examples. I know.
Sean's also a lucky man because his government entity has decided to move into commercial, so they're moving out of GCC. So his limitations will be gone soon.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's good for him. Yeah, I know how I've worked with Sean. I mean, we've talked in the past, and so he's always kind of giving me some of those smiling moments of frustration. So that should be cool. So yeah. Man, I'm sorry, Vivek.
What's that?
Oh no, I thought you were.
No. Okay.
I saw your light pop purple. But yeah. So does anyone else have any more questions for Jeremy? Because I have tons of questions, but I'm not gonna push this later later in the evening. Because Jeremy and Amy, I think the questions that I had, you like, yeah, let's go ahead and have a beer about this one because it's gonna take a minute.
Absolutely. And we're all in the DC area.
Right.
Yes. Or vaccinated. Go hang out. So yeah. But does anyone else have any questions for Jeremy and Amy? And we'll take silence as a no. So, man, thank you for bringing the insight because, like Geetha said, like there some of the things that we take for granted on our end. It's like, oh yeah, we complain about these small things, or we complain about these that they seem huge to really small or huge to us, but you guys don't get a chance to even see it. So,
you don't know you're missing it if you don't see it. I'm joking.
Right. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Like you don't know, you're doing just fine. So, but yeah, I think this was a great topic. I do agree. But I think next time we can do this again and be able to. Chuck just said something really good.
Ooh, Chuck, don't tease me like that.
Don't threaten him with a good time.
You should be using it before July 4th. How's that?
Oh,
that's what they said about whiteboard last year.
All right. I didn't make that promise.
No, no, I did not hear a thing.
So anyways, I was picking a couple people on the team. So
awesome.
Hopefully it comes true because it's actually kind of fun. I know that Anton and Vivek has been playing with it for a while.
Yes.
And then also on the adaptive cards, I think we covered that in not the last PowerAddicts community call, but it was Thomas. Positech actually covered that. So if Uday's on the call, check out Thomas's section in the not last community call, but the one before that.
Sounds good. Thanks, Doc.
Cool. That's good information. And when things happen, whenever they happen, Jeremy, definitely I will be there to give you a helping hand if need be. Amy, same way. Or we'll talk about that Amy later. So I guess with that, I mean, unless Vivek or Geetha or April, I think April dropped already. Unless anyone has anything to add to the closing, which I'll leave it for a minute.
Just we'll let people know when we host it next. Yeah, you post about it on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Geetha.
No, I was just in agreement with Vivek that we will look forward to seeing everybody again next month.
Yes. I think I'm trying to forget the date, but my computer is just acting like way crazy this evening. So oh well, there it is. So the second Tuesday again, which would be the 11th. So we should have something out for the 11th. And so hopefully we'll have everything ready to rock. I'll have my computer ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I think that would be right after MBAS, so we might have some.
Oh,
Yeah.
new and best stuff to talk about.
Yes, I'm excited already. All right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and close it out. Thank you all for coming, hanging out with us. Like Vivek said, this will be posted soon, and we will talk to you all again in 4 weeks. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks.